Mark Twain. And whatever happened to the Founding Fathers? I mean, in 2.5 years I've taken a degree that's American Studies, a degree I chose because I went up to a bunch of sorority girls and said, I'm late for choosing my major. Will you choose my major for me? They said American Studies. That's an aside. But in 2.5 years of that, I remember upon graduating thinking to myself, who's Herbert Marcuse, Theodore Adorno, Antonio Gramsci, this guy named Horkheimer, Eric Fromm, I believe, all these crazy names. And that's not like Emerson or Thoreau or Emily Dickinson. What are these crazy names? And there are people out there on the internet who have conspiracy theories, right? I mean, Ron Paul has it fits into that sort of paradigm, I would say, on certain things. They're all over the place, but I have one firm conspiracy theory, and that is that the communists did win, at least in the cultural institutions, and that Antonio Gramsci, who understood America, and Theodore Adorno, who understood America, they realized that most other countries were susceptible to a Marxist-Leninist revolution, but America wasn't, because we had this strong middle class, and everybody got off the boat and with a nickel in their pocket and felt that they could rise through this society that was fluid. There weren't firm class distinctions. And so those people that came here with the zeal, the communist zeal, at a time when communism hadn't been tried, tested, and failed, found that America wasn't susceptible to it. And these guys came over here. They fled Nazi Germany, and they fled Mussolini's Italy, and came here. And this is what I read this in a New York Times article, and I couldn't believe it. It talked about how Theodore Adorno, these are obscure names, but if you start Googling them and you start realizing these guys were the architects of our doom, and they're the people that we're fighting right now. And Adorno was living right where I lived when my first son, Samson, was born in 1999. I lived at 27th in Arizona, and he lived up on 26th Street, Santa Monica, maybe about a quarter of a mile away. To describe the area, Santa Monica, palm trees, permanently 70 degrees, and he was there in the late 1940s and the 1950s. And in the New York Times, they described him, saying that he got there from Nazi Germany, and he immediately became chronically depressed because everybody was so cheerful and relentlessly cheerful, and that they were so caught up in consumerism. It was like he was depressed that they weren't nihilists like he was. Like, people, like wanting to radically transform society. People are like, radically transform society? Are you kidding me? Look at that Marilyn Monroe, she's fantastic. And these guys decided to socially engineer our culture. And what they realized is that we weren't susceptible to the arguments against capitalism, because everybody was running around buying stuff, and everybody was built it, everybody accepted the premise of upward mobility. Everybody that was on the assembly line thought, I'm going to invent the widget that's going to make it so that we can have twice the production in an hour. So he was frustrated by that. And they figured out that the way to attack America was to not go after after the economic pillar of American society. It was to go after the cultural pillar of American society.